The summary budget that you provide gives a great overview as well. Questions? But the
Yeah, so I'll run through it, and our commentary. I'll just start with the budget, Dennis, and then, I'll go through tax, maybe go through the enterprise. I don't want to forget.
Okay.
So basically on the tax end, right, I think first and foremost, so we're listening to what's going on, we understand. So this year, we tried to keep it together. Similar to, I think, some of the feedback that the fire department got. A lot of what you see is getting to the personal stuff. And then, for this one, I'll read the diagram of it. Anything in addition to that, really just, building fuel. Try to keep it as bare bones as we can. So the net this year, versus last year on the tax side, I think it was included in what I sent you, was 189,562. Just to put that in perspective, so if you compared, what we were talking about last year, our request is actually 15% less this year than what we're looking for last year. Last year, we're looking, to increase on 219, 255. I can tell. Like I said, most of it, with contractual stuff related to employees. I did have something written wrong in what I sent you. In the CBA contract, we did actually 2 employees that were reclassified in that. I written 1, that was not right. The FTE count, excuse me, remains the same. Nobody new. We're not proposing anything like that. I'm adjusted just because the rates adjusted to make sure we're not playing with any more hours. I think I included, but we take an assumption of what we think we're going to be doing and just add the rates to it. I will change, try and adjust a bit. Presently, right now, we did have somebody in our engineering group take a position somewhere else. They're going a little bit of level up. So that's a vacancy. I just had 1 retirement in highway, and I have been going through the promotional process because I had a retirement in November in parks. So I'll have 1 vacancy there too, with 1 in water. So I would imagine by the time we get to town meeting, most of those will be filled, not all of them. But as you process and everything, a little different now. Used to have lines of people at the door looking, trying to do this stuff. Now a little bit more.
Are those whole things, with the rate?
Yeah, potentially. So the rate wouldn't change unless I got somebody, usually by the time, if someone retires, they trigger a series of promotions.
Okay.
By the time I get to the open vacancy, it's somebody new. So, unless we found somebody on the street that was substantially overqualified for what they're doing, generally, I think contractually, they probably come in step 1, and where the labor, the lowest rung is. And then they're incentivized with the CDL and a couple other things that they need to have, and they can move to 3, but that number shouldn't change. And as it changes too, as you go through the promotional piece for no the parts, we had somebody, the person that retired was way to one end of the scale, the person that said wasn't. So, sometimes you end up picking up the savings there because you're recycling the personnel process. Outside of that, on the tax piece, we added a line into our GIS. That's something new. So I think I said it the last couple of years. We're trying to get everything off of paper and out of the basement and digitized and into something we can access on our fingertips. The big thing that we're trying to do is take anything. A good example is anything that's related to a parcel or your home. So like your meter data, service records to your house, the ties to your house, your water and sewer utility. We're linking that all together. So if I clicked on 123 Main Street and brought up all the information at home, I have it all there in front of me. So you can go to one spot and you should be able to get everything. You can imagine that it's kind of a bear of a process going through that. Almost 100 years worth of data trying to do that. So that extra 10,000 this allows us to start.
We define that 10,000.
Oh, sorry, I jumped into something else. Purchasing services.
Budget, so,
I'm sorry.
sorry.
So just to highlight the purchase of services thing, let me do this correctly.
So sorry,
Um,
before you get going, the total page in the summary sheet is 255,567 increase. You said the tax levy was something else. Can you just repeat this for the tax levy? The master summary budget. This page.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to rectify what you said.
Oh, the total include personal services. Okay, yeah.
So this is 255, but you said tax levy increase was how much?
The tax levy increase will be 255.
Right.
The personal services component to that, sorry, I'm breaking it. I'm talking the three pieces. of that.
Got it.
So that'll be correct. We'll get to the next two pieces now.
Okay.
So personal services is the majority of that. So when we get into purchase of services, so the net increase there is 39,798. Comparatively, the request this year versus what we were requesting last year, we're actually requesting 29.25% lower than what we were looking for last year. So last year we were about 56,000, and this year we're just under 40. So that's where I was getting ahead of myself. Pretty minimal here. You'll see a lot of things related to clothing, safety, and weather. Those are contractual. Mostly the way the CBO to add some things into that. All the collective bargaining agreements should have said are in this. So there should be no fall changes. You know, let the number there. Talked about the GIS stuff, so you find that in engineering under purchases services. They also expect a bunch of recording fees to go up. We added a little bit of money in there. Typically, we rob Peter to pay Paul to get that done. You know, they have a year. Not this year, it seems to be something that we're not going to be able to avoid, so we should put some of them down. Fleet, same thing, $1,500 increase, safety, clothing. In buildings, so the 16,748 that I mentioned when we first started talking, line 109. So that is essentially your fuel usage, so heat and electricity for all your public buildings. How we do that is we take a building by building consumption, kilowatt usage, and gas usage. We use them. And we see the consumption. And then I use a report from the federal government, and I tell Pete, with the light department, to figure out where he thinks his rates are gonna be. And then I'll use that to come up with what I think, you know, the first rate. His feedback this year was, from their budgeting perspective, they expect gas and electric to be up to about 3%. So his recommendation is whatever we charge for a number per kilowatt for fuel for gas, add 3% to that, and we should be in line with that. So that's what that is. That could change. That might not change. You know, a couple of things, you know, that do influence that. So the police station, obviously, the building. That could be really you don't have what the new addition is. So we don't know exactly what may or may not change there in the script provision. And then if there's any changes to occupancy related to that may dictate an up and down and where we have people. And then if you go in that same section from line 123 for the Civic Center transfer, that actually shows as a credit to the budget. Really, all that is an offset. So from what we're generating revenue to us, offset some of the costs that we have there, and really that's going up and down based on the schedule of payments for the HVAC work that was done some time ago, we were paying Bank of America for. So really, it's covering that for the most part. That I think ends in 2029. It pains both Ann and I to say that, we've tried to ask them if we could pay it early. We're actually gonna request that in ARPA to say it'd be great to get this off the books. But there's penalties involved in that, and it ends up costing you more than it's worth. So, unfortunately, there's no defeasance avenue there, as much as we'd like to be, but I digress. And then the only other thing, in purchase of services, so in Parks and Forestry, there's another 10,000 in there on, line 130. Tree removal, so, you know, the labor for things is what it is now. Between our work and what we have going on with the light department, this is something that if we have a public safety or something that the town owns, that is generally, is beyond what's right on the street. So it will involve asking for a frame, or somebody with something specialized. Our tree division is 3 people. And this is something that Dennis, you know, has historically overspent. Just want to make sure that we don't catch ourselves, down the road. We'll also use this force so that we know we're gonna have, we have a rainy day like today, we know we're gonna have 40, 50-mile-an-hour winds. Both our group and the light department will bring in an off free contractor and watch this split it. If anything goes on, we have somebody who knows what the machine. Sometimes they call up emergency, sometimes they don't. If they're here, and it seems like everything's going pretty good. I like to sit around, kind of wait and see what gets thrown at us. Pretty good. Then we'll send it out and start picking off.
A lot of it.
Yeah, I know. You know, I always ask him too. I ask him how he made out. The phone's in there. I take that as a good thing, or I take that as a good thing. And more than that. And then I just have my notes. Cemetery and highway.
Joe,
Yes, Dennis.
on the forestry department,
Yes,
mayor going around town, is he being paid by the light department?
correct. The line trimming, that is a light department job. Yep.
All right, so we're not supplementing that like our crew.
No. The only thing, they would come in and work for us, like if we had a tricky takedown or something that our guys either don't have the tools or the experience to have them do safely. We'd bring them in for that. If we have something we have to reach and we're going over something, you know, that we put impact below us, that's of, you know, substantial value, we're gonna have them do it instead of us. Now, those type of things, but no, we don't do anything related to the line trimming. Like I was saying, the only thing we will do is if we have a storm, usually, you know, they'll have a bucket truck and then we'll bring in either a log truck or something that can pick, and vice versa, and we'll split the bill. Because whatever the call is, it could either come to us or it could come to them. So try to
Okay.
share that resource to keep the cost down.
All right, I understand that. I just worried about mayor. I didn't, okay.
Yeah, no. If they're in working for us, they're doing our stuff, and it's generally nothing to do with the line.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's see. So the next one, unless we have any questions, is materials and supplies. All right. So materials and supplies is up a little bit, 26,208. Most of it, is the clothing and water stuff I mentioned related to the CVAs. And, in fleet on line 201, motor vehicle fuels up. Same approach to fuel and diesel and gas that we're doing for building heat. They multi-year well configured out north of Sean Grade. And then we use the federal government fuel price management. So on and so forth. Fuel has been down for the last couple of years, mostly because of the way the winter is going. So late winter, we didn't have having snow and we use fuel. That's picked up a little bit. When they come back, yeah, it's down for that. Last but not least, the only last thing, in the tax levy, snow and ice. So we're not recommending an increase in that, this year again. At some point, we probably will have to, but for now, at the expense of jinxing myself, we've been able to manage what we have. Oh, wow.
How's it look for this fiscal year, would you say?
I don't anticipate coming in.
Not gonna have much left on the table either.
No, it won't be substantial, but we won't be.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
No, you,
Use it for eminent domain?
Exactly.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
what we'll
No,
have
you,
left.
a cup of coffee or two,
Yeah.
maybe, but, yeah, there won't be anything super fancy on it. You know, as luck would have it this year, it seemed like everything that came, hit on the weekend and hit on the Sunday. And whatnot. Fuel, and everything, and the price of salt, actually, I was a little scared at the beginning of the year. I thought, I expected the commodities and gouging, whatever you call it, I expected that to be scary. It wasn't at all. So that's good. Interestingly, to note on that, just going back a little bit, so one of the reasons I say at some point we'll probably adjust, between 2022 and 2025, there was a general kind of apathy from the contracting world out there. Not a lot of people want to get into snow, you know? If you have a dud winter, they're not making any money. So we used to have 56 pieces available to us in 2022 from 18 different vendors. This last year, we had 30 pieces from 10. So as that falls off, our staff pick it up. We see that reflected in our capital outlay, maybe some of that stuff. That, and then every year, what I will do is people are, some communities, I'm right, they're a little crazy. I think what they do with the rates, desperation and things like that. I can tell you it's a full year process. What I'll do before we send out the contract, I will wait and see what the state is doing. The contracted help, and we go to the benchmark. Generally, we prioritize some of the things that we don't have. So we have plenty of pickup trucks. So we are, more competitive and a little bit more aggressive in the field. We get a really bad one, we pick the small and move it, that's what we want. 2021, the base rate in 2021 to today, right around 38%. It's getting more expensive to hire them in. We want just everyone that they have. If we catch a bad one, that'll happen. So sometimes we should probably think of delaying maybe that for now. We're fine. Not to beat this topic up, but the average events that we go out for are still 19 and a half. 6 of those usually end up being plowing. Installed. Our 5-year average for snow, because the way winters are going, is 40 inches. Historically, so I inherited a good amount of longitudinal stuff. If you go historically, we average about 50. So, and then the high side to that, 2015, obviously, was 100, and then there was some of the early 2000s, we hit the 90s. So, I think that rounds out the tax levy on the questions on that.
So
Dennis, go ahead.
on, the, fleet maintenance,
Yes,
we bill back over to water and sewer, which I understand.
Yeah.
Tax levy over to the enterprise fund. Do we bill back, and why, if we don't, why don't we? Do we bill back the town council for police and fire equipment work and anybody else's work that we do on town cars?
correct. So everybody that uses the town's fueling is billed back. So both the enterprises, the DPW, police, fire, the school department, the light department, council on aging. So anybody that uses that, they pay their share of whatever the total cost is for the fuel and to run that facility.
How does
We
it-
do,
it
we
comes
do a
out
monthly service transfer.
a service transfer, so it's not a figure in their budget there. they're paying a reimbursement out of their budget to our budget?
Correct.
All right, so, all right, how much was that last year that offset our budget?
Well, we'd have to calc that. The line that's in ours is what we're gonna consume. So we don't carry any money thinking, like, I have no idea what the police department uses for fuel and our department does. We don't carry that and then, anything that's in our stuff is done.
So you purchase the fuel, you have the overhead for the people that would be there,
Basically, yeah,
and they take a charge back, so it's really a pass through.
exactly. Yeah.
basically.
And then, the advantages, and we could probably talk about this a little more when we get the warrant out. But the advantages of us doing that is we generally get fuel by the time we go through our process and do that pass through, it's like 20-30% cheaper. The other advantage to that too is, God forbid you're in an emergency and there's some kind of shortage or some kind of issue with the supply on hand. And then the contractor that we get the food from is also contractually obligated. We make a call, they have to be in here in 8 hours. 8 hours. So, Joe's gas station, I could be out, I don't even know, but, they can't. They'll have a harder time doing that.
And more curiosity, under the snow and ice tab for the director's request was significantly higher than what we're talking about.
Yep.
Just out of curiosity, what was in there?
So literally, that is just playing the law of averages.
Okay.
It's really just I didn't create that, I think, for showing it that way. But, it's really just to say, like, if we assume we plowed 7 times, we salted 10 times, and then we did a haul of snow, 3 times. But those operations to us are on paper in a perfect world, what does that cost? That's what that number is. It's kind of a, if we plowed 7 times, if we had, your 80-inch gear, you're hauling the square a lot, you're still out salting, law of averages has been trending down, but, it's just something in there to say, like, this can get to this point.
Yeah.
We don't want it to, obviously, knock on wood, but,
Sure.
we're at the mercy of Mother Nature.
Yeah. That's what I know.
Definitely.
So on the tax levy, I was looking last night or the night before on, money spent to date. And, fleet maintenance, jumped out. You had about a $96,000 budget, you had 12,000 spent.
Yep.
Let me just give some feedback on that.
Yeah, most of it is just that the bills are lagging behind. So we were in this. The other thing that group has been very good at lately, I shouldn't say that we've always been very good at, but as we continue pressure them to try to do as much as they can with less, seeking credit and credit back is something that we're confident to do. So every once in a while, you see the expenses and then sometimes you see the credit back to it. That's us taking things that have value, from the parts of dollars and whatnot, and what's getting that. And then that will be something, if you look at that report today, if you look at that report for 2 weeks,
Right.
that number will be.
We have 2 large bills sitting out there. We're not happy with the service we got, so
Mhm.
we're trying to,
Working on it.
working on those 2 bills right now.
Buildings is, about halfway, it's like 890. And, 900, I'm sorry, and you spent 346. You still have a credit coming back, 130 later. 210. Same thing, just is that all timing, would you say, building costs?
Yeah,
expenses?
a lot of it. Utility bills are pretty regular. One of the things with that is the project of the senior center, which is taking a lot of time, and doing it out of ARPA. So some of the other stuff is in my.
Mhm.
All the focus is in there, but, that'll be one that. will be This year, been pretty good. Mental health, good. Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cyclical. We go through the same thing every year with cemetery too. So when you get to 126, it doesn't look like we've done much of anything down the cemetery.
No.
I think you're not gonna get anything to grow during the summer, and by the time you get to the fall, then it turns leaves. Turn around to the spring, and then all of a sudden it disappears like that. That's the time we can do that.
I think, pushback from us, pushback from council has always been, continue to be, this year and the future years. What line items, every line item you drop 2,000 out of, do that across the whole corporation, if you would. The money just is continuing to get, it's upside down right now, where we are on the projections. So
Totally.
I know you know that, I know you hear that, but
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, we're getting to a tipping point.
Agreed.
Any line item that could be, used. Day, that's the key.
Yeah, the other thing we've been doing just in parallel to that, so, I won't say we just. Line camping, for example, that we used to climb all that out and we do the whole time. Now we don't. We stopped those, all of it, with the exception of the center lines and the fog lines. We need a truck to do it. Everything else we do. We took out our in-house, Raskin Capital for a machine and stuff, for instance, street cones again. We can do that. Right now, if you have a faded street sign, you order a new one, you can't get just, sticker with a decal. You have to get aluminum blank to it too. It costs about $200. You can print that from the $6. And if the aluminum on the hole is great, there's no reason why we can't put the decal on it. And do those type of things, and, water department. Try to put in, put a couple hundred feet. See the street, farm that out for somebody. We'll be doing some more sewer work over by the common. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, so that, turn it inside and doing what we can do. Eventually to the enterprise.
Sure. Any other questions on tax levy? Okay. In the, financial statements for the, enterprise, available on the website,
Yeah, what, you want like the certification?
like the retained earnings?
Yeah, I can give you that. I have all that.
Yeah. Shoot over last year, this year.
Actually have, I don't know if I put it in there or not. I have a historical look back of like what the free cash certifications are for the last like 20 years.
Mhm.
So generally,
Whatever's convenient.
yeah, generally our goal is, so when Ann and I got in, started working on this at a high level, we took the financial policy of the town and their reserve policy and tried to emulate that. So our goal with that is to have 8% in retained earnings, 10, similar to what 8% of whatever the operating budget is. That's the goal that we're looking for. I don't know what'll happen with that now. We got the feedback from S&P. The best practice.
Yeah.
Um,
What's an industry practice, do you know? Do you have any idea?
With us, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
It all depends. There's some communities that are 20% and they're standard. There are other places that, none. It's tricky because it's a
Yeah.
practicality thing, a political thing, and a financial thing all together in from Steve, whatever that balance is, and it's different, wherever you go. So,
What was the 8% figure?
that's what our goal is every year. So we,
8% reserves of the operating budget for the water
Yeah.
and the forest.
yeah, the enterprise, so sewer is in real good shape.
So some people have historically asked about that on our board, for example, slush fund, for lack of a better term, people use slush fund for other departments. And one could argue sometimes that the enterprise might need to in some people's minds, and that.
Yeah.
And to your point, that's a political financial balance.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out.
A multi-dimensional piece too. Operationally, why we like it is because if there is that funding available, then we could do some of the capital work that we need to do and avoid borrowing. Sometimes that's possible, sometimes it's not. Obviously, the water tank, it wasn't possible to be able to borrow for that. Yeah. We're in a unique unique spot now because a lot of the water was put in the fifties, is timed out, ready to be replaced, right? So, every year we kind of look at that and see how we can balance that. On the sewer end, not to get off topic, but, we have a fantastic opportunity, year over year. Like the MWA will find, a lot of capital work we've used 70, 85 cents. We pay 25 cents on the dollar for it. They actually give us a grant money for it. So you do $1 million worth of sewer opportunity this year. So that is not on the water side, unfortunately. I wish it was. Some of them, the service we definitely. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's read that yet, but I'll just start. I have sewer in front of me, so essentially it's the same basically as my summation for you. So one of the big ones here is our assessment, compared to last year from the engineers down $84,000 and change. Budget increase, including the sewer assessment, about 1.7%. And then if you take out the effect of the assessment on that, our budget increase request of 2.6%. The sewer assessment fills about 70% of our budget, much like the tax levy. In this, the contractual step increases, the overtime adjustment, for. There are a whole bunch of, lines up toward the top of this budget that are benefit related more or less. They're self-sustaining for the Medicare, the insurance, the retirement, and half of them out of it. Admin expense, so there's an offset to water and sewer for some of the other folks in town hall, like the bill collecting and taxing and things like that. That was up 9,000. Group insurance was up 42,000 this year. Workers' comp 920. Purchase of services for sewer, level funded again. At least the second year of that from level funded. There's a small bump in materials and supplies. Related to the clothing brand. So. Sure debt, which is just finance capital. Total increase in sewer. 162, 302.86. Which about 44% of that is actually the benefits related to insurance. No, I mean, and I know they do a great job up there. It's just kind of the GIC stuff, whatever the rate time gives it to the town. We have a set amount of employees in. They're good enough. GIC doing that. 70
Personal services for sewer.
Mhm.
I would rather 15.5%.
What you'll see in the partial style, so we almost did this last year, but, we didn't, because it was at the end, it was getting close to crunch time. Last year, the balance of FTEs, was way out of balance. So last year, our FTEs split, we had 10 in water, 5 in sewer. So all the folks that there, it's not like when you work for us, you work for only water, you only do water. This year, we balanced that, so you'll see 2 employees actually come over into sewer from water. Capital driving some of the water, things like that, and then the way that the benefits kind of affected, budget this year is about the time to move that, right? That way, the increase in water doesn't super lopsided. More than that. That, so the new FTE split, you have 8 in water and 7. Just about even. The only difference is the treatment. So that's netted out over in the water side. And then, correct, so you see one of them netted out. all comes out of the same, you know, in theory, it's all the same pot, even though the enterprises, so one will get credited, one will get credited. But for us to balance it, we need some, to then add the polls and everything go, hopefully they go up evenly and not, you know, scale like it's too far.
Did you feel an operational need to do that?
No, so the operational need
Did
is.
share each other anyway?
Yeah, so, when I work down there, today I can do sewer, tomorrow I can do water, but
Okay.
they're 50/50. Just, you know, however split up, they plugged in, and they, Jim out of water, Joe out of sewer, but we're together doing whatever we're doing. It'd be hard to manage, I think, if we did the other way.
Yeah.
Let's see, so on the water side, so, the big increase in this one, is the increase in our assessment, 374,480. Part of the reasons with this one, so we're coming off one of the lowest years of consumption in the last 10 years previous to that. As we come off of a low year into an accelerated year, as we're going to be using more. We also had our water tank down for about 10 months of the year during construction. So our ability to pump out of Crystal Lake dropped because we have no storage capacity and then we have no buffer and the cost to keep that offline. So, you know, we think those two things combined, affected that. The reason why it takes so long to do the tank project and get that back online to really let us pump, you know, what we're trying to do. Mostly, you know, construction within the DEP is very specific on how we need to flush and disinfect those. And then at the end of the day, they give you a thumbs up or thumbs down. Or like that. So once they did that, you know, full steam ahead, but unfortunately, it's a once in a millennium project that we have going on.
Is FTSE contractual or, no, not CBA covered?
He's in the,
There is,
yeah, that professional supervisor. Supervisor water, well, water and sewer, both his park forestry cemetery with Dennis, highway, fleet, and then the engineers, with the exception of two of them over there. Not good.
yeah, you had like 5.6% increase. It's like on one of which you with that.
Just flowing through my notes, so the budget increase with the MWRA considered, and moving the personal services that we talked about, 5.57%. If you discount the impact of the assessment in water, increase percent, that we're looking for. The assessment, and the water end, comparatively speaking, is still almost 47% of our budget. Much of the same thing related to solar and different things like that we've already talked here. The admin expenses. You know. Yeah. Yeah, so that includes the clerical and stuff like that, so the fall, briefly to. Service previous. Group insurance on this side, paid a little bit more, 58,230. In purchase of services, we are asking for an additional $25,000. What this is gonna do. We're gonna put together, formally put out a valve exercising program. What that is the different water mains in town. This will allow us about 3 days to bring somebody in, like, the valve, open, work them. That way, you know, when God forbid we need to get on them, even though they work. We started doing this, we were doing all of the work on Elm Street, that's all the valves before, and we found out that from a timing standpoint, it saved us so much because we were able to verify ahead of time, you know, what shut down, what didn't, what needed to be replaced. So now, when the manually working time, $25,000 to kickstart that program. $3,000 in materials and supplies. That's going to increase. Debt in water, it's level for 26. That will not be the same in 27. It'll probably go up about $150,000. One of the reasons why it's level for this year, so we had an authorization to borrow 5 million for water main, that we consciously paused on because as of July 1 this year, 1.356 million will be available through the MWA, interest free. And then we'll conventionally borrow the rest to do what we need to do, but it didn't hit the books. So that project was like on, you see the construction thing happening.
The maturing debt is paying this level funded, you get 900,000.
Yes, still went in with it. And then next year, the conventional bonds typically for what it is, and then, refis. The eight, and really this is the influx of $10 million back in this year. And
Right.
getting it off. Right. Anytime we can get 0% interest or,
25, 75.
yeah, I know, bring that one, right? Or even, if we can piggyback, so like if we know the commercial development going on, that or different, we have an opportunity to exploit a grant through it and get more work done, we're gonna do that. Depending on what happens in the hot trees or 40Bs, there is an application we can put out there and take that substantial borrowing possible. Do that and put the else.
Sure. So with the passage of the, I guess, checklist of formula, like the MTA, would, any additional like infrastructure upgrades be required? If, not to say that there's gonna be a building, boom, but if there are a lot of development downtown.
No, for sure. So anytime, in development going on, that needs to punch holes in our pipes, obviously that's something we need to be careful and look at. Always looking at, what the flow rate, pressures and things like that, so I think that's, what you. The Emerson feeder area and all that around. As the different developments, we do it all the time. So we can- As those buildings are going up, the property and carrying the water. Race and lot essentially took, they were required to take the avenue from Avenue Street to Maple Street. And then the next building picks up the next section.
So 48 and they, tie into the existing store and property, and then separate line to the street.
Depends on what the existing market. So if the existing sewer is competent.
Yeah.
And do condition, there's a couple different things, they can mine it. And reuse it, we require all of it to be can inspect it. There is the occasion where we need to find it differently. And that would be on them.
Yeah.
If we can avoid punching holes in it, obviously we want to, but we also want to make sure that anything that's, perpendicular to the roadway travels is in good condition, because we don't want to.
No.
It's all that, anytime any of those building permits comes in, all that underground stuff from our view of the road is a consideration before we even get to the 100% about the stuff that you can see on the surface.
It's interesting, having a bunch of calls in our company, civil engineering, it's all septic where we are. So they want to put an ADU in, and in the bedroom, they're gonna increase the septic.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I gotta charge them $6 or $8 grand to do that from end to end. Like, I thought this was, I thought this was, just plug and play and put a shed up in the yard.
Yeah.
It is to a point, but without sewer, it's,
And depending on where you live, generally, what we find is not to go too far into it. Single family home that gets, like knocked down, comes to or something like that. Generally, the 2 units will come into one manhole on the property, and we'll have one line going out. Because we don't want to quarter on the street.
Yeah.
So. Constant, and we're always.
That's it.
Not so much on the septic end though, but at least I know.
Yeah,
the
you
call,
know,
you get that one.
too much septic around, yeah.
So I would say there's probably, if there's a handful left,
Still left, yeah.
maybe not, I don't know,
Yeah.
the records. aren't super awesome. I could think maybe two, but as they go.
Oh, yeah.
The lots are too tight.
Way cheaper time in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, any of you that may have it and find stuff with them now, with the ledge constraints. It's
Yeah.
very tough.
Good.
So,
All right.
that's the budget.
Yo.
So,
Crash.
articles, so just, I'll just run down the list really quick. Eminent domain, annual $1. Essentially an insurance for us, if we have to take an easement, we can do something with that. We could do that with the town council. Can't tell you when this actually became a thing. I know it was quite some time ago. And I do know the town hall has some fun stories related to this because it is something that's out there in the legal circles, I think, that they talk about that. That's your annual. Probably the highlight of this list, refuse, recycling, and yard waste. So 2,456,958, that is level funded. So why is that level funded? Couple of reasons. There's a personal services component to this budget, that went up. Goes up. The cost of having employees to, pick up the Christmas trees, run the pit, and do, the downtown square fetch and things like that. The contract for trash collection, is also up. And then, the price to collect recycling. is up. What is down is we had to renegotiate our disposal contract, and we actually saw a reduction.
A couple of years ago, it was going the other way, or was that recycling?
So it was, we thought that, going to the incinerator was gonna go up. In the future, the cost of recycling is gonna be brought. It's gonna be. Nobody. There's gonna be a part acquisition potentially, about $100 out times 8,000. Then also going to be whatever the contract charges, to pick it up, and then disposal and processing fee that we do not pay this time. To the tune of something,
120 probably for a ton where we pay under $100 for trash right now. So it'd be processed more to process the recycling than it does to do trash.
so,
Yes, and then potentially if you have contaminated, if it's contaminated, over a percentage, like 20%, then you get hit with a 240. We just saw a contract, $240 fee. We just saw a contract in Melrose get whacked with that.
Just for that one time.
No, for the load. So
Also,
they,
it would be by the road. if it's
yeah,
contaminated.
yeah. So it's very tricky. And one of our problems is how do you tell the contamination? Like last Tuesday, you had contaminated load.
yeah.
Well,
How do you fight that? You drive
Yeah.
down there?
So here's, so
I'll
here's
be spending a
here's
lot
the
of time.
problem with
thinking-
it, and here's the way
Not ours, not ours.
I don't wanna sound like a curmudgeon and say, that I'm like anti-sustainability or anything like that, but here's my problem with that. Right now, the way the recycling leaves town, it gets dropped on the floor, reworks completely. Someone essentially looks at it and says, 25%. I'm
Can
not,
they do it in there?
essentially, yeah, there's no weight to it or anything. They bail it after the process. They look at the load, it's like auctioning cattle, right? Yeah, that's a good stake in there, $1,000 cow, or whatever they do. You can audit it, but you can't be there all the time. We have a trash supervisor. Yeah. So that's my problem with it, when these companies, they pitched that during the last RFP, and said, what's your level of control there? Like, I'm not gonna walk into open-ended liability like that unless I know how we get into that. I know we really. So.
Right, it's like, how are you trying to make this bottom line this month? Oh, wait,
So that's exactly, that's the problem. It's
next
like,
week will be tomorrow.
does the executives come down and say like, oh, yeah, we didn't make enough, we need to get more, who knows? So, that's something that we've been working to. that's something that's coming. I don't wanna get off topic, but for now, until 2027, we're in a good spot. Roughly the process and presently. You know, but that will change. Nobody will bid on the contract unless it goes out. The three major players in that. Market. You know, there's no really large company. And all of them are basically the same thing. You know, it's either automated or not. That's something that we'll have to think about. We'll probably start talking about this time. Get the ball rolling on that. Get
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you know, if I'm a microcosm, I have like twice as much as Subcommittee. Yeah, I'm like filling up multiple barrels.
absolutely.
So like, we're gonna get the automated barrels, like in a similar fashion to our class, but maybe different color.
Well, yeah, no.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta
reduce
be-
the
you gotta make it
probability of
easy.
them picking up like a trash by accident.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I imagine that's gonna be a problem.
It'd be interesting. But a little premature now, but you know, I would imagine, you know, the town needs to decide if we continue the program, go down that road. I would probably recommend we're gonna acquire the cars for the city early, people get used to it. I would think they'd be 96 gallons, which would be bigger than what we have. And then will come the question, weekly or bi-weekly. I would think it's probably have to go weekly, because now you can put out as much as you want. You're limited at that point. So, you know, but get back to what we were talking about. So why, we're able to level fund this year. So the disposal rate is gonna drop from 101.30 to 98.35, and we're seeing $2.95 decrease. You know, tonnage of the incinerator. The other thing that we were able to do, because people are recycling more, and, you know, the COVID effect is basically, it's basically back to work. At one point in time, we were budgeting 7,500 tons of trash a year. Then what was the contingency number on that? And it really drops that. The interesting thing about the new contract for disposal, so it's a 10-year contract that we executed with them, so it covers their solid waste master plan. The office can talk about their whole legal waiver, essentially shut it down. Some places, so we're in that contractually cannot exceed more than 4% annual increase. That's capital. So what we'll do every July is with that commodities index, and then
Just to one.
23. Yeah. So the most, so from, you know, when Dan lays out his long term, once we see what July 1 is, you know, we can basically use that every year. And use 4% when the contractual is now. Go ahead, Dennis.
With the new rubbish guy, Republic, going with the, going back to the single bucket, with one guy in the truck, is that?
Yeah.
Is that gonna increase our liability of contaminated loads, because you cannot see what goes into the dump?
That's the question I ask them every time, because right now, their contract states that they're instructed, if it's reasonably detectable, and the load they feel from the curb is contaminated, they're supposed to reject it. If you can't see it, you're gonna take whatever's in there, who knows? So that's another question that we've asked, that we're gonna seek the answer to, but the potential is for that to be the case. But, yeah.
So are we just gonna automatically charge them for a contaminated load, seeing they're not inspecting it?
I'm not sure. I don't know how that will actually work, but
Well, they're the one who's saving the money by not having the guys on the back of the truck to inspect it.
Absolutely, I don't disagree with you at all. I think when it's time to put those two contracts out, for proposal, that's gonna be something that's gonna be very specific. Um,
Well, can't we say it now to these guys? Because you want to change it over. Do we have permission to say, no, you can't? You keep the guys on the back for the inspection?
Oh, no, so yeah, Dennis, they won't, that contractually, that won't change over until, 2027, so.
But
We're,
that was for recycling,
Yeah,
correct?
July.
yeah, so we're not proposing, we would need to acquire the carts, we're not proposing for that, when that capital ask now is not, that's lower on the rung. So, that conversation's coming, but it's not here yet, recycling is gonna continue on as is, with them on the back doing what they're doing. Yeah, but within the next 2 years, the conversation will start, and likely be, generally agreed to on what that might look like, should it change, and how that will affect us. Because that's gonna drive how we make the financial decision after that.
Okay,
And just so you know, some of the newer trucks that they're talking about and possibly on our new contract have cameras. So when it flips into it, it takes a picture of what you're doing on every stop. And then we can go back, if someone has put something illegal in there or whatever, we can go back and find it. Not all the trucks have it now, but they're all working.
yeah, but if it's in a bag, you're not gonna see it.
No,
It's like lasagna, you're gonna see the top.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna know what's in it until you get it open.
You know?
It's really good.
All right, well, concerned about contaminated loads with that,
As
even
we
if they have a camera,
So we're
they should be
negotiating,
picking up the liability.
So we're negotiating both of the contracts at the same time.
yes, they used to be separate, and then we combined them to one. So we have one. We used to have one hauler that take trash, one hauler that take recycling. So you herding two of them independently. It made it easier to manage early than one truck and one trailer. We'll ask for the pricing to be separate, to give you the rubbish collection price, to give you the recycling collection price. It doesn't mean you need to award it to the same person. You would probably, if the cost consideration is dramatically different one or the other, we could split it again. Yeah, the only one that, other than that is different is the cost.
And do you know, do we get any additional benefit? Other than potentially if we choose one contractor, do we get, a benefit by doing? With them, like a special discount for doing both?
Generally, like, the way that they'll price it, they have all of them cheaper. Yeah, they'd like to go, like, even in the time. Everything makes them do like that, but like on stuff like they prefer to do that, but, we'll have to see how, how they impact the future. But, some of the other interesting ones, this is really all Ian's work. I won't take any credit for it. I'll read through some of it. This year, there's been a dumpster that we got, the can got those through the grant. This year we took 18 tons. So, really, we don't make a heck of a lot of money in that, but, it's more of a communication for doing stuff. And I think we end up on a positive on that.
yeah, absolutely.
And, honestly, it takes about 35 minutes once we're done picking them back, so. it's a good thing. Same thing, for the container you fit for, metals, and to date, 97,791 pounds. So that netted, 5376 in revenue, and then if you count that, tonnage, the 48.5 tons roughly, versus what you would pay, at the incinerator, is additional $5,000. String lights and different things like that, we're able to recycle, zero cost, right?
Zero cost.
And then we heard another 1,100 pounds from that, and then recycled and thrown away. Cycling dividends up, so 25, grant 13,000. Previous year, 16,000 and 15,000 before that, so. That's allowed us to get some of the cans to do some, dividend things, stuff like that. What about that stuff?
So yeah, Black Earth up top. So lifetime so far, we've done 422.9 tons of Black Earth. And so we have about 435 active members right now who get a weekly or bi-weekly pickup through Black Earth, which is great.
Next conference.
Yeah,
So the staggering one to me is the boxes that are in front of, I think, the Greenwood School and I think the Woodville too.
yeah, Greenwood is the number one though.
Bay State Textile, those things have generated, 201,800 pounds of clothes that have gone through that, which is,
Really tough for mine.
I wouldn't have guessed that, you know, so just to show, that's another tonnage savings of over $10,000, so. Rest assured, any way that we can find a good commodity, accomplish getting it out of the waste stream, we'll continue to do so. I don't see anything different coming, really, than what we're already doing, but should it? not to Move it somewhere else and actually take a dividend back to the general fund for it.
You know, in a similar fashion of how we go around and collect trees, would we get, like a significant increase? Just say on the top or top of the ground, like if we get that, like just, I don't know,
I don't know how we do that happen. I mean, the way we set it up, because the feedback we got from people, so. Bi-weekly recycling came in with dollars and cents then at the time, the vendors were. Weekly, we would have saw an increase in participation between like 40 and 10%. We would have doubled the cost. If you want to double your cost for a 10% yield, no. So being able to put those containers out is at least allowed for those that can do it a little bit more convenient to that law. You know, not Christmas time, things like that. You can have a lot of it. So collected separately, I'm not sure. I actually thought the last time we went out for a recycling contract, they might get back to the point to help them at the facility in place to separate your recycling again. Which would make sense to me. I think we limit the determination, but that's not how, Lowell is set up to do, so. Yeah,
It'll be interesting though, because like Republic's working on a plant that will take water bottles and use them again as water bottles and not as like carpet or whatever. So they may, in future contracts, look for us to keep water, plastic bottles separate. A cardboard, that kind of thing. I think that'll all develop over the next couple of years.
I thought paper and cardboard would have been an easy one, but I'm not driving.
Yeah.
I don't want to overlay the stuff.
Good.
Cool. So the next one, we're asking for some funding, 395,300 to design and permit the local replacement of our salt shed. So our salt shed, located down in the Hot Street, is getting tired, and being now and starting to rapidly accelerate. It's essentially a wooden structure made out of plywood. And the wood is all spongy and gross. And inside of that, no, so inside of that is obviously a commodity and storage that we use to food safe during the winter. This is something that we're hoping to get accomplished to come back in the future. And then, some of the challenges to this, because of where it is, underneath it, we need to stay back the soil to it. Proximity to wetlands.
I think so.
Joe said that, yeah, I didn't send it to you, I'm sorry.
I'll be in that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can hand it back
yeah.
to you.
I'll shoot
Um,
you the email.
Yeah, so this shed was put in, basically 70, we've gotten 50, 60 years out of this town. So basically, it's designed for different times, so the roofs are low on it, and you have a tractor down there, you know, up and down. Generally, if you know the road, you can put in a meeting for it. You can imagine if they come in, have a good late, afternoon, and, you put it- A, which is spot. So, that's one of those ones where, you know, feedback we, isn't it a nice to have? It is a nice to have because you protect your assets, but it's a must have. Because without that, this year, for the first time ever, you know, seeing the channel 7, channel 4, are actually short on film. Because of the way the even though the temperature's up, the temperature's up in the ground is cold, we're still going out through into the flip. Which means the only way to combat that is the salt. And there were communities that were all in trouble this year. I know our neighbors to the north and then neighbors to the south both fogged up this year. Because they were afraid that they were gonna run. Us to have that on site, we be able to handle, you know, back to back, is super important. So, this is get the ball, moving on that in a bit. Next one, the big one, really, fuel island replacement. So last year I'd asked for ground money, for this, which has been completed. So what this is it's essentially a function of public works, but really downright thing. Setup that we have at the hot street right now, you know, the parking lot. Tanks are outside of the warranty period, and the pieces that make it function on that are no longer supported. So, company that comes out and helps us with it, great. They know what we have. Somebody else decommissions when they take them for us. But we're at the point now, we're essentially fine. Another 30-year project. What this year involved, is 2 new above ground tanks, one for diesel fuel, one for gasoline. Capacity of 8,000 pounds feet. The new single to this, so anything that runs on diesel. Glued to it, that right now we're using ports to fill up, so we're doing 600 gallon. 600. All the other ones. The goal is to put it in. Shows the high street as well, essentially up by where the guard check is, right to the left. We chose that traffic queuing, so if we're busy doing our daily work, and we have a tractor in for trucking, the fuel load or offloading material to us, and then you have the fire department coming up to get fuel for running the truck. They actually have to back out the station onto North Ave to get out. We feel that the fuel needs to do everything on site and get out of the way. It also saves us, you know, precious things in our place to be able to hopefully utilize this thought a little bit better. Kind of dissect everything. To put this right back in the middle of the park, we actually didn't agree to things that will come with this down the road, that is not addressing the gate. But to be able to look at that and understand exactly what to do, we need high school project to keep moving because of the stuff we're gonna realign. I don't know how far down the house that we may have to do some other ancillary things. But on the proposed putting a new entryway in, teeing it up at the intersection, street across the street. And then come to find out that the way we realign the road, I need to move it again. So we'll consciously pause until that, and then figure it out. Next up, so, Butler Woods, I don't know how much the finance committee is talking about this one.
We're aware of it a few years ago from a liability perspective, so we were purchasing it for people.
Dennis is
I
probably,
think.
yes, yeah, Dennis is probably the expert on this one.
Well, he was there when the school burnt down.
Sure was.
You didn't dump the asbestos in the woods, did you?
Nothing to do
Oh,
with
I
that.
was still playing basketball in Outwell.
Oh, there you go. So what this is, so the Reader's Digest of the story, the Atwell burned down, for whatever reason, you know, gentleman's agreement, handshake, who knows, part of the building got dumped in a lot. Inside of that is material and contained stuff. Somebody acquired the lot, found out about the asbestos, back and forth. Mediated and responsible, whatever, the town provided, this probably best and easiest, then we litigated, considered the time, acquire the property, handle the cleanup and stuff and stuff. Since that time, what we were able to do is work with the DEP to not have to remove it, because if we were talking about removing that asbestos, we were talking about, innate, they may not. So we have, approval from the DEP to cap it in place. One of the things, unfortunately, we're gonna do it in the future, you know, after the fact, to go to all the environmental policies on that at this point. Very specific and contain language and perspective only. There are other things out there that need to be abated and removed. Things like administration of the house. Insurance policies and whatnot. You know, what this contingency money really is for. But, additional legs that we identified, and still we, respect. Not an awesome thing to have to talk about, but, you know, being able to get, like, to packet and we sell that, part of the lot we sell is the resale. For the town, once we cap. Off the site, because they're being restricted in terms of housing, whatever it might be, in theory, there should be multiple lots, but. Easy that is, the way out, how you do what we do, and when you do it, and how you report it. All kinds of stuff, moving out and back, and last two, don't cost anything, not that I can't do, just to. Make sense to the homeowners, make sense to those guys over there. It doesn't change anything. Access. It's not around. It's Grafton Street. That's the only thing that's actually.
Sure.
Sure, hang on, Dennis.
So is that, this 2.6 million, is that just for the new location?
Let's for the new location and to abandon the thing.
Okay, so does that
I
mean,
mean, not that, sorry.
does that mean, removal
Yeah.
of like existing tent? I think you also said like the glass one installed them too.
There is, so behind them is the glass wall. This would be to remove all the concrete tanks. And do a fuel closure. Get everything, all the old out of the way. Black wall. But to make a decision there, but this would be essentially to get rid of, cut the old tanks that stuff and get, break up all the concrete pads, that just sit on the fuels and stuff. And the old one. The way those work now, they go from an above ground tank to an underground sump. And then get pumped from that into the dispensers, the new ones, but everything's on. Yeah, other than the electrical plan we bring on. Go ahead, Dennis.
As far as the Butler Ave property, that article is a town council article, isn't it?
I believe so. We're gonna be speaking to it, on Monday night. And I think, Bill, our town engineer, is going to probably end up presenting it. He's at the traffic advisory right now, but, when we come back next Thursday, I'll tag him into, he can give away into the weeds on it if you guys want.
Well, because they're gonna take credit once they sell it for the money, so they're not responsible for trying to justify expending money on it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
Thanks.
It's good to see a budget coming in line with, what we hoped for.
Yeah, we tried.
Oh, I did have a question on, or a separate topic. You provided with some electricity.
Yeah.
Data. I was looking at the kilowatt consumption for all the properties.
Mhm.
For me,
Biggest use.
Union Street, that's like six F, and five F, like the nearest one. I understand it's a 24-hour facility, but it's a 5 F.
So we just started an energy audit there. We're working with the Gas and Light on an energy audit, so they were there 2 weeks ago working on it. We should have a report probably in the next 2 months, and then we'll share it and see what we can do over there, because we know that's our biggest consumer.
And you know, because I know we also did a renovation of this building. Considerably large. I assume like, probably.
Yeah,
Actually, the green, when the town entered the green community, the designation grant that we got, we got $189,000 to something. We were actually, the utility related projects, we actually, the biggest user for that time, that public safety, the civic center, and here at town hall. Every light in this building and over the building. And all of them, as we move forward though, that would be something that.
Yeah, so for this one, my understanding there's like a bunch of servers there that are running continuously. But
They have their service there, and then that's a lot of the reason why town hall, elevated. Aside from occupancy, it was service on the basement that needs to be on to heated.
do you know the Giselle Energy audit also included on too?
Yeah. Yeah, so they'll do the whole building, and then we'll get it back, and then we can start picking away at what we need to do.
Yeah, like I'm sure like the result is gonna be like, the servers are gonna be pretty substantial.
Could be.
So I don't know how to go about like actually looking at the service.
Once we get that back, we'll probably tag it on to do that. And see. Work with the things that we do versus the The other thing that that building's screaming for, that we're gonna try to do, ask for, if not, we might, bring it back and mention capital. Solar, in the group. It makes sense, so you won't see a lot as far as what you need getting back and keep it in. Anything that we're going to the, which then, right? Exactly. And yeah, those are the big three.
Any of the like the power, like solar panels, whatnot, get placed on buildings, that get nets out at like of the building.
The only two that you have right now are down Broadway and
So that, and that's like those buildings. For the
that, all the. Not for the gas, it's like kilowatt hour consumption there, if you set it up, it's whatever the net is at the end of the, however the thing out. Uses 100 and credit 50 from the solar, we just give them the money.
All right, Dennis, you good?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's all.
You present Monday?
I think,
I'll see you Monday.
Kevin will tee it off, and then, By the time he's done, he's probably gonna say most of what I have, so.
That's it.